You're on the gist on Strat News Global. I'm Surya Gangadharan. I have with me Sam Thomas of the Airline Pilots Association, and you're a guest that we are going to talk about the Air India disaster in Ahmedabad. Sam, welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sam, there's a lot of stuff going on social media, on X, and so on, speculating about what could have brought this aircraft down. You spent over many years flying big passenger jets. Would you want to give us some a sense as to how these things happen, why they happen, what could have gone wrong?
Surya, the first thing that we have to state is that we are prevented from making any speculative sort of statements. And what's you very rightly pointed out that social media has many armchair specialists. I'm amazed at some of them who can come and say authoritatively, without even having seen the 787, as to how it functions. And if you notice, the entire narrative is based off of a blurred CCTV low quality footage that has been taken and one footage from a mobile phone. Now, at the best of times, this is not what an air crash investigation requires. The air crash investigation, which is a detailed affair, would be conducted by the AAIB. And for that, for us to make even an educated guess, we need the CVR and the DFTR, both of which constitute components of a black box. Now, until that is recovered, which I understand it is, and decoded, and the analysis comprehensively done, it would be a complete, what can I say, a very foolish kind of act to sort of hazard a guess on why an airplane is, leave alone the Air India airplane, any kind of air crash that has happened. What I can try and explain to you is what people are saying and why it may not be the truth and why we should move away from any kind of speculation. So if you have any doubts as to why you feel that people are saying X, Y, I can, and whatever you have heard, I can try and explain as to what they may be trying to say.
So, what are they trying to say? You've flown these big jets; they're reckoned among the safest in the world. What's your take on this?
Airplanes per se are pretty safe, and the wide body airplanes are renowned worldwide to have a safety record which is enviable across the world. So, however, the nature of aviation is such that from time to time we do have accidents. If you notice, this year, 2025, is not really one of the best years for aviation. In the United States, we've had more than 11 accidents so far. And after not having any significant accident for a record period of time, this year somehow seems to have brought out the worst in the aviation industry. However, going by past records, these things do happen. Now, until we have an exact case where you have enough data to find out why this particular incident has happened, see, the analysis of the DFDR and the ensuing investigation is done so that these accidents or incidents do not repeat itself again. So that is the main aim of the inspection. So to sit down in social media and say that maybe the flaps have not been taken, that I find it bordering on ridiculousness, because the 787 does not allow you to take off without selecting those flaps, because there is an electronic checklist which doesn't allow you to proceed forward without complying with those checklists. Now, there is a way to bypass it. Nobody will bypass it. And in the event of you having bypassed it, the moment you apply full thrust, this aircraft will scream with bells and alarms in that stating that you have not chosen the flaps. So it's out
Mhm.
of question. And the some of, I mean, I don't even recollect because I've heard so many. This is one of the problems that we have currently, because the media is under pressure to interview somebody, and therefore they get sort of we understand the pressures, and we understand that the public at large needs to know something.
Yeah.
So there are even people suggesting that the co-pilot jumped out with his parachute. I mean, I, that was on a Hindi channel, and I was really amazed.
So I understand the black box has been recovered. Does that is that a good sign?
Very good sign. That's one of the best things that could have happened in this real tragedy. Now that the black box is recovered, you will be sure that you can know the exact reason as to what went wrong and the exact sequence in which it has gone wrong. And the other good point is that there are investigators from the UK that are coming in. So sometimes it does happen that in India, we have these investigations, there are recommendations, and nobody is accountable to anybody. So
Absolutely.
they just remain recommendations. So I feel that this is going to be a different case.
Mhm. So this black box goes to Boeing or it's analyzed here. What happens?
The, in India, there are, I think, just one organization that is qualified to milk the DFDR, as we say. Generally, it's
Mhm.
done in Singapore or in the US. Of course, there
Okay.
are in Europe also, they have a few places, but generally, in such a case, the OEM tries to take the DFDR right back to the United States. I mean, that Boeing is from there. If it were to be a French airplane, it would go to France. So, I my guess is that it's going to be in the United States.
Mhm. Is that good given the fact that it's a Boeing aircraft that is involved? There may be attempts at cover up or something.
I completely agree with you on that fact, because Boeing in itself has not covered itself in glory in the last couple
Absolutely.
of years.
Yeah.
And there have been a lot of whistleblowers who have come up on the net to state that not everything is working fine with Boeing. In addition to that, was the congressional hearing wherein the CEO of Boeing on multiple occasions was stopped short of being stripped. Everything else was,
Hmm.
grilled out of him, and they really did not have satisfactory answers. So yes, I do agree with your thought process that yes, there could be cover up if required. However, now with the UK, that's why I said once the UK people are here, that is going to be difficult. And too many monitoring systems and individual civilian contractors are involved in this DFTR analysis. So
Hmm.
it would be difficult, but not ruling out what you said.
Hmm. Is it done? Can it also be done in Singapore, or the fact that there's only one black box?
No, no, no. This black box, both the cockpit voice recorder and the digital flight data recorder together are taken, and it uh, can be done in the can be done in Singapore. Singapore does have the expertise, but generally it would be taken to the US, and the results given out in about, it takes only about 48 hours to complete the entire exercise, but the bureaucracy that goes with it, could extend it to about a week or so.
Mhm. Now, I'm told that the aircraft which crashed in Ahmedabad has multiple redundancy built into it, and it's among the safest aircraft to fly. And generally, passenger aircraft have gotten safer over the years. Your reading of this, because you've been in the airline business for many, many years.
Yes, over time, I have seen that the aircrafts have had redundant systems and very good safety records. But aviation is such that despite having a very good safety record, it does not preclude you from the fact that this aircraft could end up in an incident or accident. So, to that extent, yes, generally you would never have anything if you try and compare the number of hours it does to the incident that it's involved in. Now, the passengers get a little confused with the in-flight entertainment system was not working on Air India. The headrest fell off.
Yeah.
These are cosmetic things on the seat, and that really does not point to the fact that there is a safety lapse. There is probably it's a public relations nightmare, but otherwise it does not really affect the safety of the airplane. And India is one of the over-regulated countries where it's difficult to sort of go past safety.
Some of the narratives in some of the American television channels claim that perhaps airline procedures and maintenance procedures, so on and so forth, are sloppy. You would disagree?
Absolutely. I mean, for an American to say that, that would be uh, really very brave of him, because I've flown in the
Yeah.
US and I've flown in India, and uh, that would be a very sort of scandalous statement to make, because our safety records, maintenance records are way, way higher than the FAA.
Mhm.
What Not necessary that that would give out a better result, but for somebody in the US to say that our training standards and maintenance are are not up to the mark is ridiculous, I would say. And I don't know where he's getting his data from. And this has got nothing to do with nationalism. I am in the field, and I know since very uh, categorically, I can say that I have flown in India and in the United States and in Europe. So I know what the safety standards are. Maintenance standards are on par with the best in the world in India.
What about pilot training?
Pilot training, once you enter an airline, again, is top of the line. However, the beginning training that is in India is that's the ab initio training, where you go to a
Mhm.
flying club, flying institutes. That leave a lot to be desired, because our structure, our regulator does not even promote those kind of scenario where you could have comprehensive training. I feel that New Zealand, Australia, and United States are very good for ab initio training.
Mhm.
Here it is how to prevent you from flying. I have an example where once we found three aircraft in Delhi, in the flying club, Delhi Flying Club, which was shining, brilliant
Mhm.
paint job. So we asked the chief flight instructor as to how come you're maintaining this aircraft so well. So he said, "Beta, हम तो इस पर धूप भी नहीं लगने देते." So he has kept it in the hangar for as much as possible. So that shows how much flying you are interested in. And secondly, we have here something akin to what happens in the teaching profession. You see, our classmates who couldn't make it in the corporate world or could not went on to do B.Ed and then became a teacher. And we had teachers like that. So that's the case in aviation as well. You don't make it anywhere, you go and become an assistant flight instructor,
Mhm.
barely can manage to fly the plane straight and level. And with DGCA oversight, you don't even take off. And you somehow, uh, you know, sort of straighten level your way to uh, a commercial pilot license.
Mhm.
And if you survive, good. But once you get to the airlines, I mean, that separates the boys from the men.
Mhm.
And complete, because those are world standards, they have to be met. So there's a lot of failure rate there. And more than failure rate, I would say that the retraining rate is very high. So
Mhm.
unless you meet those standards, you're not flying an airliner.
So, say airline like Indigo or Air India, whatever, they have their own training facilities for pilots, or they do it
Correct.
elsewhere.
No, no, they use their own facilities as well as facilities outside India approved by DGCA. So some of the best trainers and training establishments have been set up both in the US and in India also now, because under the it's basically CAE and flight safety that sets up these training institutes, or rather,
Mhm.
they kind of franchisee model to some of these airlines, and they're top of the line, as good as one can get.
Sam, I presume you've flown Boeing aircraft. Have you
Correct.
flown Airbus also? How do they compare?
These are two different philosophies. I've flown the 737, the 777, and a little bit of simulator of the Airbus 330, and of course 320 as well. Uh, these are two different philosophies. To one is a complete fly-by-wire, or rather, in the narrow body. The Airbus 320 was one of the first aircraft to have a complete fly-by-wire system,
Mhm.
and they are different. It's not necessarily one is better than the other, but they are two different philosophies. And
Mhm.
to put it in a very layman kind of term, the Airbus is more an engineer's airplane with a philosophy to say that pilot is just there to manage the system. So you
I
don't need
see.
to be a genius sitting in an Airbus to, think of what went wrong. He'll write and tell you what went wrong. Just do that. And
Mhm.
it's an officer like kind of, whereas the Boeing aircraft are more pilot oriented. They
Mhm.
your skill, not that you don't need skill on the Airbus 320, you definitely need, but those are slightly more managerial skills than what you need on a 737. Now I'm breaking this down to a very layman level. It's not something that
Mhm.
would fly in my circles, because
Yeah.
both both type of pilots have been with us. So
Mhm. So here we have, there was a point when I think Indian Airlines used to buy Airbus, and I think Air India used to fly Boeings.
uh no, no. Indian Airlines first had Avros, then they moved to Fokker Friendship. Oh, they had Avros and Fokker Friendships. Then they moved to 737-200s, Indian Airlines.
Okay.
Then they moved to A320.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've got the record of the first crash of A320 also in India, first crash of 787 also in India. So, so there we are, pioneers for the wrong reason. Thereafter, when this merger was there, it's all hell broke loose. Nobody knows who bought what. And the long haul were divided into both the Airbus 310, the 747-400, and the 777s in Air India.
Mhm.
Then everybody went on a marketing spree, uh, like vegetables. So sometimes we didn't even know who had what. There were
Mhm.
320s in the Indian Airlines fleet, 330s in the Indian Airlines fleet, 330s in the Air India fleet, and thereafter I forgot where we went from there. And finally, now everybody is Air India now except Indigo. So
So Indigo is the only one flying Airbus, or
no, Indigo flies the A320 and the ATRs.
okay.
So they are predominantly A320, and that is one of their models, or rather, the model that gave them a lot of success, which is actually a very smart way to do for the low cost model of low cost variety of airlines.
Hmm. The all economy and that kind of
Correct.
configuration.
Correct. Now they have just moved into a stretch version where you would require, once you are established in the market, you would require some kind of differentiation of class. So they have now introduced what is a light version of a business class. It's called the
Mhm.
stretch, I think.
So tell me, which aircraft did you prefer flying? Boeing, Airbus?
I would still say Boeing, but because we were all, our childhood was on Boeing, so if it ain't Boeing, we ain't going. That's what we were told. But unfortunately, now, if I get a chance, I jump onto an A350 or something, which is a brilliant airplane. I've been in the simulator of that, and it's a
Hmm.
very, very nice airplane. I mean, one of those bucket list kind of thing. But I'm happy flying a Gulfstream. I've been there, done that. I'm too old now, so
Yeah, yeah. So, any final words, Sam? We are near the end of our conversation. Anything
yeah.
you'd
All
like to put out there?
yes. Firstly, congratulations on addressing the actual issue. The speculation over social media is the actual issue. And please don't believe whatever you hear from a welder from the Indian Navy or somebody who's working in the canteen, trying to come and say that I know this, that, and the other. It's entertainment. Good. It can make, I mean, while having a couple of drinks, you can also join in the conversation, but please do not take it beyond that. There is a competent authority looking into it. And once they do that and they come out with a factual result, then I think we could sit back and say that, yes, these were the mistakes that we made. And this is what we are going to do to see that we don't make these mistakes again.
On that note, Sam Thomas, thank you very much.
Most welcome.
That's all we have for you on this broadcast. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media. Thank you very much. Good day.